Welcome to the Royal Road School of Carmelite Prayer. We are currently studying an article entitled Love4Love, The Life and Works of St. Teresa of Jesus, as written by Edith Stein. We are beginning chapter 14 today, entitled Prioress at the Monastery of the Incarnation. While the spiritual gardens of Mother Teresa were spreading their lovely fragrance over all of Spain, the monastery of the Incarnation, her former home, was in a sad state. Income had not increased in proportion to the number of nuns, and since they were used to living comfortably, and not, as in the Reformed Carmel of Teresa, to finding their great joy in holy poverty, discontent spread. In the year 1570, Father Fernandez of the Order of St. Dominic came to this house. He was the apostolic visitator entrusted by Pope Pius V with examining the disciplinary state of monasteries in Castile. Since he had already become thoroughly acquainted with some of the monasteries of the Reform, the contrast must have shocked him. He thought of a radical remedy. By the authority of his position, he named Mother Teresa as prioress of the Monastery of the Incarnation and ordered her to return to Avila at once to assume her position. In the midst of her work for the Reform, she had now had to undertake a task that for all intents and purposes appeared impossible. Exhorted by the Lord himself, Teresa declared her readiness. However, with the agreement of Father Fernandez, she gave a written statement that she personally would continue to follow the primitive rule. One can imagine the vehement indignation of the nuns who were to have a prioress sent to them, not one elected by them. A sister of theirs who had left them 8 years earlier and whom they considered an adventuress, a mischief maker. The storm broke as the provincial led Teresa into the house. The provincial, Father Angel de Salazar, could not make himself heard in this noisy gathering. The Te Deum that he intoned was drowned out by the sounds of indignation. Teresa's goodness and humility finally brought about enough quiet for the sisters to go to their cells and to tolerate her presence in the house. They were saving the decisive declarations for the first chapter meeting. But how amazed they were when they entered the chapter room at the sound of the bell to see in the prioress seat the statue of Our Lady, the Queen of Carmel, with the keys to the monastery in her hands, and the new prioress at her feet. Their hearts were conquered even before Teresa began to speak, and in her indisputably loving manner presented to them how she conceived and intended to conduct her office. In a short time, under her wise and temperate direction, above all by the influence of her character and conduct, the spirit of the house was renewed. Her greatest support in this was Father John of the Cross, whom she called to Avila as confessor for the monastery. Amen. So, Teresa's life is in constant movement and ever exciting. And here she is in the middle of founding monasteries throughout Spain, and she's now being called to be the prioress at the Incarnation, where she began her religious life. So this will be fun to follow. I hope you're enjoying the story of St. Teresa of Avila's life, and may God bless you and yours. Amen.